got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
This is Radio Imanzi broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. President Paul Kagame arrived in Jamaica this afternoon. The United Kingdom is to send asylum seekers to Rwanda under New Deal. Rwanda National Police has recovered over 560 kilograms of assorted metallic equipment stolen from utility companies in Kigali. The head of the World Health Organization accused the international community of double standards in response to crises affecting various races. Now the news in detail. President Paul Kagame arrived in Jamaica this afternoon for a 3-day state visit which seeks to strengthen mutually beneficial cooperation and also help to reinforce the steadily burgeoning relationship between the African continent and the CARICOM region. The head of state was welcomed by Governor General Patrick Allen and Jamaica's Prime Minister Andrew Holness at the Norman Manley International Airport. On his first day of the visit, President Kagame, alongside the delegation from Rwanda, joined the launch of the celebration of Jamaica 60 under the theme Reigniting a Nation for Greatness. On the second day, the head of state is expected to address a joint sitting of the Jamaican Parliament and will later lay a wreath by the tomb of Jamaica's first national hero, Marcus Garvey, followed by a state dinner at King's House. On Friday morning, President Paul Kagame will hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Holness at Jamaica House, during which the leaders are expected to sign a memorandum of understanding. Later on Friday, there will be what is being described as a government-to-government panel discussion between respective delegations. Moving on ahead, Rwanda and the United Kingdom have signed a deal that seeks to give a dignified life to people who leave their countries to seek asylum in the European country. A statement issued by the government of Rwanda says the country is pleased to confirm a bold new partnership with the UK, which will take an innovative approach to addressing the global migration crisis. According to Priti Patel, the Cabinet Secretary of the Department of Home Affairs, under the deal, some of these people will be relocated to Rwanda, where they will be empowered through different initiatives.
Today, I have signed a world-leading migration partnership with Rwanda, which can see those arriving illegally to the UK by dangerous methods relocated to Rwanda to have their claims for asylum considered, and if recognised as refugees, to build their life there, helping to break the people smugglers' business model and prevent the loss of life. I'm delivering the first comprehensive overhaul of the asylum system in decades, and at the heart of this approach is fairness, so that access to the UK's asylum system is based on need and not on the ability to pay people smugglers. The demands on the current system, the cost to the taxpayer and the flagrant abuses are increasing, and the British public have rightly had enough. That is why I am overhauling this broken system, and we will continue to support those directly fleeing oppression, persecution and tyranny through safe and legal routes, while deterring illegal entry to the UK and making it easier to remove those from the UK who have no right to be here.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Vincent Biruta, says because of Rwanda's recent history, we have a deep connection to the plight of those seeking safety and opportunity in a new land. We believe that Africans and others from elsewhere should be able to live safe and dignified lives in Africa.
Because of Rwanda's recent history, we have a deep connection to the plight of those seeking safety and opportunity in a new land. As you may be aware, Rwanda was formerly one of the world's leading producers of refugees, and many Rwandans have experienced what it means to be displaced. This has shaped how we approach migration and asylum. Migrants make social, cultural and economic contributions to societies in which they integrate. We believe that Africans and others from elsewhere should be able to live safe, dignified lives in Africa and should not be locked out of opportunity. This is why we need to work with partners on bold new approaches which tackle the root causes of irregular migration while providing immediate safety and opportunity to those currently in need. This is why Rwanda is pleased to work with the UK on this partnership. By relocating migrants to Rwanda, investing in their personal development and providing education, employment and other opportunities, we are giving them the chance to make new lives in our country as full members of our communities.
The partnership, through the Economic Transformation and Integration Fund, will invest in Rwanda's economic development, creating professional and personal development opportunities for migrants and Rwandans alike, and rebalancing the inequalities at the heart of the global migration crisis. Under the program, migrants will be entitled to full protection under Rwandan law, equal access to employment and enrollment in healthcare and social care services. Now, political analysts in Rwanda say that the politics of consensus and the political parties that have been chosen in Rwanda after the genocide against the Tutsi has led the country to being free from conflicts and divisions. The history of the political parties that existed in Rwanda before the genocide against the Tutsi showed that some of them promoted divisionism, hence leading to the genocide against the Tutsi, and since then people lost faith in the politics and politicians altogether. Rwanda's political and historical expert, Tito Rutaremara, noted that after the genocide against the Tutsi, Rwanda chose politics aimed at rebuilding the country, and that this policy of consensus has played a significant role in the country's development. The Green Party leader, Frank Habineza, says that contributing to the development of the country in terms of giving ideas is a democracy worthy of Rwanda. He also acknowledged that politics of consensus plays a role in preventing genocide. Citizens say what they need from politicians are actions that aim at development. Dr. Nkurunziza Joseph, the spokesperson of Rwanda Civil Society Platform, explains the benefits of consensual politics that has been promoted in Rwanda in the aftermath of the genocide against the Tutsi.
People need to understand that democracy is not about fighting. Democracy is about competition and active participation. So people can compete without fighting. And I think what Rwandans need to do is to document about consensual democracy, about having a type of governance whereby people sit and discuss and have dialogue, than where people meet and fight and burn houses and burn tires in the street, so that we can demonstrate that there is also this other type of democracy where people can sit and argue without fighting.
There are currently 11 recognized political parties in Rwanda, which make up the National Forum of Political Parties. The Rwanda National Police has recovered over 560 kilograms of assorted metallic equipment stolen from utility companies in Kigali and arrested 4 people in connection with the act. The metals valued in millions, which include tower angles, U-bend and plumbing materials, were recovered in Kamashashi Cell, Nyargunga sector in Kicukiro district. The tower angles and U-bend used to construct towers, valued at over 11.5 million Rwandan francs, were stolen from Only Infra Construction and Trading Company Rwanda Limited, a Korean firm constructing communication towers in Rwanda. Plumbing materials, also valued in millions, were stolen from a shop in Zindiro. Those arrested include a security guard at Only Infra Construction and Trading Company who was guarding the store in Nyargunga where the tower construction materials were stolen. Also arrested is a dealer in scrap who was buying the stolen metallic materials, and his other 2 suppliers who were conniving with the security guard to break into stores to steal the equipment. RNP spokesperson, Commissioner of Police, CP John Bosco Kabeda, said that during the operation to recover the materials stolen from the communication tower construction company, police also found 2 sacks of plumbing materials in the same house, which were reported stolen in the past. The Article 166 of law determining offences and penalties in general states that any person convicted of theft is liable to imprisonment for a term of not less than 1 year and not more than 2 years, and a fine of not less than 1 million and not more than 2 million. Community service in period of 6 months or only one of these penalties. Ms. Muheto's project, Igiched Youth Program, intends to encourage the youth to save and assure they're self-sufficient instead of depending on their parents for every other thing. The project mostly focuses on the teenagers, 11 years to 20 years. Ms. Muheto notes that her project, Igiched Youth Program, focuses on promoting the saving culture among young people. She says that she was prompted to start the savings project because she noticed how people struggled to make ends meet, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic.
My project is about saving. It's called Igiched Youth Program. Hereby, I embark on raising the awareness of saving in young people through my project. I came to realize that saving is really, really important in the COVID-19 pandemic when we were all at home. So I realized that relying on day-to-day income is unattainable. That is where I chose to start saving, and it really did help me a lot. I really believe in saving. I really believe that through the journey of saving, there are some blueprints of success to those who save. So me observing this, that is the major reason why I was like, why don't I bring this to the youth of Rwanda and we try this out? Yeah, because it will help us solve many problems. I work with microfinance institutions and the central bank to raise more about the awareness about the ease and benefits of saving. I believe at some point, as the youth, speak the same language. If me as a young person talk to you, telling you about saving, it would be more understandable than a grown-up person talking to you. In 5 years, I see my project as a success, because I believe if you do something wholeheartedly, I believe you do it good. That is one thing I've learned by now. I see my project success in 5 years. I'll make sure I implement my project and to the fullest. I will exploit every opportunity I get to the maximum. I'll try talking to young girls. And I believe me sitting with a young girl, talking to her, taking her through my whole journey will help her and she will learn a lot.
Ms. Moheto has already started the campaign for her project in her former high school, Flower Girls School in Gasabo district. We shall continue with some items of international news after the advertisement.
Are you looking for the best language interpreting services for your next meeting, training workshop, or forum, in person or remotely? Look no further. Gemini Multimedia Limited offers high-quality and professional interpreting and document translation services in various fields of expertise. Based on the International Association of Conference Interpreters, AIC, and with a team of professionals with more than 10 years of experience in the field, you can rely on us for a smooth running of your next event. Locate Gemini Multimedia Limited on KG 14 Avenue 258 between Kagugu Health Center and Fawe Girls School. You can also call us on 0790-719-909 or visit www.geminimultimedia.org. Gemini Multimedia Limited. Speak clearly. Listen reliably.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu Hassan is in Washington for a walking tour that will see her launch the Royal Tour documentary in New York on April 18th. The Royal Tour documentary was shot in Tanzania and will be used to market the country's touristic attractions to a global audience with the hope of reviving the tourism industry that was greatly affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Following the initial launch in New York on April 18th, the film will also be launched in Los Angeles on April 21st, Dar es Salaam on April 28th, and later in Zanzibar. President Samia was involved in the recording of the documentary last year as she traveled to various tourist attraction sites with the American-based film crew. Somalia began swearing in new legislators today in a ceremony in Mogadishu, signaling an important step towards creating a new government and electing the president. In Somalia's indirect polls, elected members of the Senate and lower house are expected to hold a joint session to elect the president. After losing everything because of devastating floods in and around the eastern South African city of Durban, some residents are trying to find shelter in the underground halls of hostels. According to government figures released on Wednesday night, at least 300 people have died in what some officials describe as one of the worst weather storms in the history of the country. Meteorologists say the bulk of the storm had passed, but warned persistent rainfall and localized flooding could occur in the coming days. Approximately 4,800 people have fled their homes in central Nigeria following the deadly attacks. Groups of gunmen on motorcycles overran 5 villages of Plateau State, shooting people in every direction and burning houses, killing more than 100 people. People fled from the villages where the assaults took place, and Neka Ikemu Anibese, spokesperson for the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, said the majority of the displaced are women and children. Nigeria's Minister of Information declared these armed criminal gangs are working with Islamist extremist rebels which have been spreading terror for the last decade in the north of the country. Acting likewise, these bandits are conducting mass abductions from schools, loot villages, and kill those who resist or whose families cannot pay the ransom. The head of the World Health Organization accused the international community of double standards in response to crises affecting various races. Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the world was treating humanitarian crises affecting black and white lives unequally, with only a fraction of the attention on Ukraine given elsewhere. He said more focus has been given on the war in Ukraine, while crises elsewhere, including Ethiopia's Tigray region, are not being taken as seriously, and hoped the international community comes back to its senses. The German Foreign Minister, Annalena Baerbock, warned European troops would not cooperate with Mali's military while it maintained links to Russia during a visit to the conflict-riven country. Baerbock said that she feared massive war crimes being committed against Malian civilians, which she suggested followed a pattern used by Russian forces in Syria and Ukraine. A delegation of United States lawmakers led by vocal China critics Bob Menendez and Lindsey Graham arrived in Taiwan today for a two-day trip as Beijing threatened strong measures in response. The group of 6 U.S. legislators is making the latest in a string of visits by foreign politicians to Taiwan in defiance of Beijing's efforts to isolate the island nation. Elon Musk is offering to buy Twitter. The revelation on Thursday came just days after the Tesla CEO said he would no longer be joining the social media company's board of directors. Twitter Inc. said in a regulatory filing that Musk, who currently owns slightly more than 9% of the country's stock and is its biggest shareholder, provided a letter on Wednesday that contained a proposal to buy the remaining 91% of shares. He offered $54.2 per share of Twitter's stock, calling the price his best and final offer. Ukrainian officials said their forces hit the flagship of Russia's Black Sea Fleet with missiles in that the vessel sank. Russia says the Moscow was badly damaged by a fire that forced the warship's evacuation, but that it was still afloat. The loss of the warship would be a major military and symbolic defeat for Moscow as its troops regroup for a renewed offensive in eastern Ukraine after retreating from much of the north, including the capital.
Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi.
The Rwanda Stock Exchange Market Report. The trading session recorded 1,463,212,990 Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in 5 deals on the fixed income market and 12,511,500 Rwandan francs from 65,400 shares traded in 4 deals on the equities market. Bank of Kigali closed the counter at 250 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 6,925,000 Rwandan francs from 27,700 shares traded in 2 deals. Bradgwa closed the counter at 150 Rwandan francs. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 5,586,500 Rwandan francs from 37,700 shares traded in 2 deals. I&M Bank counter closed at 44 Rwandan francs, Simirwa at 120 Rwandan francs, MTN Rwanda at 180 Rwandan francs, Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs, National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs, Uchumi Supermarket at 104 Rwandan francs, and RH Buffalo closed the counter at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. The currency markets review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.7 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 8.9 Rwandan francs. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 0.44 Rwandan francs. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.28 and the selling price was 0.29. Rwandan franc buying price was 0.49 and the selling price was 0.5. The US dollar buying price was 1,009 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 1,029 Rwandan francs. The British pound buying price was 1,326 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 1,353 Rwandan francs. The euro buying price was 1,102 Rwandan francs and the selling price was 1,124 Rwandan francs. Today's weather forecast from the Rwanda Meteorology Department. From 6 in the evening to midnight, rain is expected in the western province and the districts of Kirehe, Ngoma, Rwamagana, Bugesera, Burera, Musanze, Nyamagabe, Nyaruguru, Gisagara, Nyanza, Ruhango, and Huye. The rest of the country is expected to be partly cloudy. The average wind speed expected is of between 3 meters per second and 4 meters per second. From midnight to 6 in the morning, it is expected to be partly cloudy in all parts of the country. The average wind speed expected is of between 3 meters per second and 4 meters per second. The minimum temperature is to be 11 degrees Celsius tomorrow morning in Nyabihu district. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition with Fiona Umuganwa.